My name is John Newbold. I'm an associate professor of marketing at Sam Houston State University. And I've used the marketing practice game since it was started, so I've been using it for several years, and I'm pretty familiar with all the ins and outs of it, and it's my privilege and pleasure to take you through some of the new improvements in the game. Some of the things I'm most excited about is that the game is extremely easy to set up for purposes of using it in your class. It's extremely rich in detail, and the visuals are very engaging. You'll find that students will really like the visual representations in the game. And it also comes with very robust reporting on results and stuff, so you can use it for the most basic course, or you can use it for some fairly complicated analysis. So let's get to it. First, I'd like to go over this slide just to kind of reinforce what marketing practice does for you, the instructor. The first thing it does is it draws students into the excitement of the marketing field. Okay, marketing in and of itself I think is a very exciting and interesting field, but students don't always get hooked on it right away because we're spending so much time trying to lay the groundwork for strategy. What this game does would immediately pull people into the excitement of the marketing field because students can immediately feel like they're in the game and they're making decisions and they're seeing what the implications of those decisions are. So sometimes I'll use this game at the very beginning of a semester, just give students a taste of it to get them excited about marketing and making decisions related to marketing. Second thing it does very well is it introduces and reinforces the fundamentals of marketing strategy, which are to identify your market segment and then to make decisions related to the 4 Ps. Third thing that it does really well that lecture doesn't do and other assignments things don't do is it exposes students to the dynamic nature of marketing strategy, okay, because you're going to be looking at the 4 Ps in an integrative way. The game will either reward or punish the student on their ability to pay attention to the synergy between decisions made on various elements of the marketing mix. What the game also does is it pits the student against competitors that are generated by the computer itself. And so when they have to make strategic decisions in the context of a competitive environment, that also reinforces the dynamic nature of marketing strategy. And finally, and I'm going to show you when we get into a demo of the game, finally, the game also allows the instructor to introduce environmental factors, things that are happening with suppliers, things that are happening with retail partners, things that are happening with media partners. And so it also reinforces the decision making that has to be made on the fly in light of these types of environmental factors and developments in those factors. And then finally, and I alluded to this earlier, the game has robust reporting features that allows you to either have students engage in the game and have really basic reporting and basic objectives, or it also allows you to get into sophisticated sorts of analyses such as return on marketing and investment. The next thing I'd like to talk about very quickly is just the ease of setup, okay, because the game itself is very sophisticated and, as I alluded to, has very robust reporting, but to actually set up a game is really quite simple. At this point, the McGraw-Hill folks have integrated the game fully into McGraw-Hill Connect so that you can just assign a simulation game the same way you would make an assignment of some other sort of interactive activity. It's also fully compatible with most learning management systems. You can set a game up in 5 minutes or less. In fact, in a couple of minutes here, I'm going to quickly set a game up and show you what it takes. And you have a lot of flexibility in how you set up the games. You can set it up for a long or a short game in terms of number of turns. You have flexibility in terms of what you want to be the objectives of the game. For example, do you want to emphasize profitability or do you want to emphasize units sold? And it also allows you to add realistic marketing events in order to increase the difficulty and the complexity of the game if you choose to do that. The folks at McGraw-Hill have also taken the game and broken it down into 9 what they call mini sims, or a mini simulation that addresses specific aspects of the marketing mix. So I'm not going to go into depth on this because McGraw-Hill has a separate video that will give you an overview of their mini sims. But let me just say that they're shorter than the marketing game, than the simulation game. They are designed to go after a specific element of the marketing mix or marketing strategy. Again, you can assign them within McGraw-Hill Connect, and a mini sim takes approximately 30 minutes to complete. Okay, so again, I've used these mini sims sometimes as a way to prepare students for the more full-fledged simulation game. So here we are now in demo mode of the game, and here you can see the game board again, and I don't know if you can follow my cursor, but in the center of the game board is where you have the reporting, and you can see you have quarterly, yearly, trends, position map, alert, and events. And again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this, but let me just kind of point out the various parts of the game. On this island, you have the place where you will select your segment that you're going to go after, depending upon what the objectives of the game are. As you move around in a wheel-like fashion around the headquarters, here's where the student would actually design their backpack, and they can make decisions about the shape of the backpack. They have to make decisions about the types of straps on the backpack. They make decisions about any special features they might be interested in adding to the backpack. They make decisions about the material for the backpack, and finally they make decisions about the color of the backpack. And so as they make decisions, the computer will automatically update the design of the backpack. Another thing I want to point out in the upper left corner here is that the computer will also keep track of the production costs. So there are implications for cost of goods sold on decisions made, design decisions made in the backpack, and the computer keeps track of that as the student goes along. The next little island is where the student will establish what the price of the backpack will be. Here the student will simply use this slide bar to select a price, hit confirm changes, and then the price is locked in until they decide to change it again. The next island is where the student will make decisions about what retail channels they're going to make the backpack available in. And the next island has to do with choosing a message for their ad campaign, and also for choosing the media that they're going to spend money on in order to promote their backpack. And so there are choices of print, choices of internet, choices of television, choices among radio, and finally choices among poster. Now again, as I discussed, the student now is, the challenge of the game is to make all of these decisions and make them synergistic and make them integrative. So depending upon what the chosen segment wants, you design that kind of a backpack, you price it the way the target market desires, you choose the appropriate channels, you choose the appropriate messaging strategy and media strategy, and then you're in business to go. At this point, I would like to demonstrate how you can set up a game. So what you would do, if you look at the screen here, is you would go to your home page of your course, and you would click on Add an Assignment. You would scroll down to Application-Based Activity, and among your application-based activities available for you for that course, you want to just scroll down to where you can find Practice Marketing. And let me just pick Practice Marketing 12 turns. So you're going to select the number of turns that you want the game to be and hit Continue. Next, they're going to ask you to assign weights as to what the objectives are or how the score for this game is going to be generated. So this is the default that the computer sets, where there's a 40% weight on net profit, 20% weight on market share, 20% on return on marketing, 20% on customer satisfaction score. Now I can tell you from my experience with it, this is a fairly complicated balanced scorecard approach to scoring the game. When I've used this in the past, sometimes I'll just put 100% of the weight on net profit, or I'll put 100% of the weight on units sold, or maybe I'll do 50% of the weight on units sold and 50% on net profit. So let me just set it up that way. And this way the student will have to balance their balance the profitability with the number of units sold. Okay, now I like the more sophisticated one, but it's harder, particularly for undergrads. So let's just say I'm going to make decisions 50%, 50%, and then I'm not going to use the events for the turn, and I'm going to hit continue. Now I need to give the assignment a title. Let's just call it Simulation Game 1, and let's just call it Demo Game. But in this demo game, in the instructions here, this is where you might want to put what the objectives of the game are, some specific instruction that you have about the game. Then you're going to set when the game starts and when it ends. And again, this is particularly useful if you're teaching an online class. So let's just say it's going to start at 6 p.m. Tonight, and it's going to be due on this date at midnight. You have to choose how many points you want it to be worth, and that depends how you're going to weight this in your course and how you have it in your syllabus. So let's just say that this particular assignment will be worth 100 points. And then you can choose the number of attempts that are allowed. One attempt is pretty tough if a student's doing it for the first time, so a lot of times I'll do 2 or 3 attempts, because a lot of times the students do poorly the first time around until they get a hang of the game. I can tell you, if you want to use unlimited attempts, that's not a bad idea, but only if the weight of the score is low. If you're using the assignment more as a heuristic, then unlimited isn't bad. But if you leave unlimited in there and it's for a score, you can assume that a lot of students are going to max out on that score if they have unlimited attempts. All right, I just want to say a couple of things about the use of the game for different types of marketing courses. First of all, it works very well in the Principles of Marketing course. So if you've got a Principles of Marketing course, it does really good to just use the basic game. It exposes people to the excitement of the marketing strategy, but also helps to reinforce the complexity and the integrative nature of marketing strategy. So I've used it effectively in a Principles of Marketing course. Also, I've used it in a capstone course for marketing strategy, and here what we do is we play the game with different objectives and in different contexts, so that students begin to appreciate how you would use a different strategy. For example, if you're trying to sell a lot of units as opposed to if you're trying to make a lot of money or have a large profit. And finally, even in MBA courses, I've used this game, and here I make particularly good use of the reporting, because we will then, in an MBA class, we will even get into a lot of more complicated return on marketing and investment calculations and look at the lag effects of marketing strategies and things like that. So I just want to say that the game is very robust. You can use the game in a very simple way in order to spice up a Principles of Marketing course, but it also is particularly good at reinforcing key concepts for a capstone marketing strategy course or for an MBA course in marketing. In summation, let me just kind of explain why I would recommend using this game for your marketing course. First of all, the graphics are excellent. It's an engaging and very intuitive game to play. It's easy to set up and easy to manage if you're the instructor. It's appropriate for both online courses and face-to-face courses. So particularly some of the new enhancements that McGraw-Hill has made this game very doable in an online environment, which is really great, because it's a great experience for online students. It's flexible enough to use across the marketing curriculum. It's complementary to other textbook and interactive platform deliverables. And finally, I just want to point out that this simulation game is fully supported by McGraw-Hill. They have been working and enhancing this game for several years. They have plenty of training and support to help you to begin to use the game, and also to help you if you run into issues while you're in the process of playing the game. They have a customer experience group and tech support that is really excellent. I've used them a number of times. They do a great job of reacting to whatever issues you have right away, and they have pretty much seen it all. And they are very experienced in issues with the game, and they usually do an excellent job of clearing up whatever issues you have right away. You also have the potential to consult with digital faculty consultants, someone like myself who has set up the game, and they'll put you in touch with another marketing professor who might be able to help you with the setup and your use of the game. And finally, they have excellent documentation. So there's an implementation guide, student-facing PowerPoint. They give you all the support and materials you need to get the game set up and to get your students going on it. So let me just conclude by saying for me, it's been a pleasure working with this game over the last several years. They currently have it in a really great situation where they have made enhancements that make it really easy to do for an online course and super easy to do for a face-to-face course. So it's been my pleasure to present this to you, and thank you very much.